Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Wednesday, September 5th, 2018. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's baseball games, look ahead to today's games, go over the two big WNBA games from last night, talk about the U.S. Open a little bit, do my NFL Week 1 power rankings, and I'll do my NHL local TV announcer rankings. I'm going to do an NFL predictions podcast separately, which will be out later tonight as well. Let's get going. Baseball last night, the Cardinals defeated the Nationals 11-8. They improved to 77-62. Washington drops to 69-70. Tyson Russ improves to 8-9. Austin Williams drops to 0-1. Jordan Hicks gets his 6th save of the year. The Pirates defeated the Reds 7-3 as they improved to 68-71. The Reds dropped to 59-80. Joe Musgrove improves to 6-8. Cody Reed drops to 0-2. The Rays defeated the Blue Jays 4-0 as they improved to 75-63. Toronto drops to 62-76. Hunter Wood improves to 1-1. Ryan Baroque drops to 3-4. Sergio Romo gets his 19th save of the year. The Indians defeated the Royals 9-3 as they improved to 78-60. Kansas City drops to 46-92. Mike Clevenger improves to 11-7. Danny Duffy drops to 8-12. The Phillies defeated the Marlins 9-4 as they improved to 73-65. Miami drops to 55-84. Jake Arrieta improves to 10-9. Trevor Richards drops to 3-8. Big win for Philly as they gain a game on the Braves, who were defeated by the Red Sox by a score of 5-1 as Boston improves to a Major League best 96-44. Atlanta drops to 76-62. Rick Porcello improves to 16-7. Sean Newcomb drops to 11-8. The Rangers defeated the Angels 4-2 as they improved to 61-78. The Angels dropped to 67-72. Mike Minor improves to 11-7. Andrew Heaney drops to 8-9. Jose Leclerc gets his 9th save of the year. The Tigers defeated the White Sox 8-3 as they improved to 56-83. Chicago drops to 56-83, so the teams have the same record now. Francisco Liriano improves to 4-9. Lucas Giolito drops to 10-10. The Brewers defeated the Cubs 11-1 as they improved to 79-61. Chicago drops to 81-57. Big win for Milwaukee. They cut it down to 4 games in the loss column. Wade Miley improves to 3-2. Mike Montgomery drops to 4-5. The Astros defeated the Twins 5-2 as they improved to 86-53. Minnesota drops to 63-75. Justin Verlander improves to 14-9. Trevor May drops to 3-1. Roberto Osuna gets his 13th save of the year. The Rockies defeated the Giants 6-2 as they improved to 76-62. The Giants dropped to 68-72. Chris Rusin improves to 2-2. Reyes Maranta drops to 5-2. The Diamondbacks defeated the Padres 6-0 as they improved to 75-64. San Diego drops to 55-86. Robbie Ray improves to 5-2. Joey Lucchesi drops to 7-8. The Yankees defeated the Athletics 5-1 as they improved to 87-52. Oakland drops to 83-57. Big win for the Yanks. 5 in the loss column ahead of Oakland now. David Robertson improves to 8-3. Fernando Rodney drops to 4-3. The Orioles defeated the Mariners 5-3 as they improved to 41-98. Seattle drops to 77-62. Alex Cobb improves to 5-15. Adam Warren drops to 2-2. Michael Givens gets his 6th save of the year. The Dodgers defeated the Mets 11-4 as they improved to 76-63. The Mets dropped to 62-76. Rich Hill improves to 7-5. Jason Vargas drops to 5-9. Big win for the Dodgers, as the NL West is probably going to be the best race down the stretch of the season because those 3 teams are all within a game or 2 of each other. So that's pretty cool. Today's games in just about a half hour from now, you have the Red Sox and the Braves. Hector Velasquez and Mike Falta units. 1 o'clock Royals Indians. Brad Keller and Corey Kluber. 7 o'clock Cardinals Nationals. Miles Mikolas and Tanner Roark. Reds Pirates. Homer Bailey and Jameson Taillon. Rays Blue Jays. Tyler Glasnow and Aaron Sanchez. Phillies Marlins. Nick Pivetta and Sandy Alcantara. 7:30 Mets Dodgers. Zach Wheeler, Heijin Ryu. 8 o'clock Angels Rangers. Jaime Barria and Bartolo Colon. Tigers White Sox. Jordan Zimmerman and Michael Kopech. Cubs Brewers. Jose Quintana and Julius Chassin. Twins Astros. Jake Odorizzi and Framber Valdez. 8:40 Giants Rockies. Andrew Suarez and Antonio Senzatela. Yankees Athletics. Luis Severino and Mike Fiers. And last but not least, Orioles Mariners. Those last two games are at 10 o'clock. Andrew Kastner and Mike Leake. WNBA, the semifinals ended. We know who's in the WNBA finals. In what was an absolute great game last night, the Mystics defeated the Dream 86-81 to advance to the WNBA finals. First time in franchise history. Ariel Atkins, 20 points in the win. Atlanta Deladon had a quiet night. Alex Bentley put up 16 in defeat for the Dream. The Storm defeated the Mercury 94-84. So I get my two picks correct. Sue Bird, 14 points in the fourth quarter, 22 in the game. Brianna Stewart put up 28 in the win. Brittany Griner put up 21 in defeat. As we should have a great WNBA finals, which begin on Friday night. I'll pick that series on Friday's podcast. U.S. Open, let's start with the men's. Juan Martin Del Porto defeated John Isner in the quarterfinals. Rafael Nadal defeated Dominic Thiem in the quarterfinals as well. Today's quarterfinal matchups, you have Kei Nishikori against Marine Cilic at 2 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock, you have Novak Djokovic against John Millman. Women's side, you had Anastasia Sevastova defeat Solane Stevens, and Serena Williams defeat Karolina Pliskova. Today you have Naomi Osaka against Lisa Sarenko at noon on ESPN in the quarterfinals. And at 7 o'clock on ESPN, you have Carla Suarez Navarro against Madison Keys. So, some good tennis matchups on the docket for today. NFL Power Rankings before the season. The season begins tomorrow. As I mentioned before, I'll be doing my exclusive bold predictions and more podcasts for the NFL season, where I predict how every team will finish, the Super Bowl winner, awards, and other miscellaneous things, all in one podcast. And that's coming up soon. So the power rankings that I have for you. I'm going to go from 32 to 1 as I usually would. 32 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're a team that is just a mess right now. Jameis Winston is suspended. Ryan Fitzpatrick starting the first 3 games of the season. Dirk Cutter, a coach, on the hot seat. 31 is the Buffalo Bills. They're going to take a huge step back from making the playoffs last year to likely another top 5 pick. Josh Allen should be starting for them. But instead it's going to be Nate Peterman. It's only a matter of when, not if, when Allen will start for them. 30 is the Miami Dolphins, a team that is not really that talented. Ryan Tannehill is back, coming off the torn ACL. We'll see how he performs. Number 29 is the Indianapolis Colts, another team that is not good on paper. Andrew Luck is worth a couple wins. So, spoiler alert, don't be surprised if I have the Colts with a better record than some of you folks might think. And that's because of the presence of Luck. But this roster stinks outside of Luck, really. And they have a new coach in Frank Reek. And they're bound to have another disappointing year. 28 is the Arizona Cardinals. They're a team that also has a rookie quarterback in Josh Rosen, who is also not starting. Sam Bradford looks like he'll get the start week 1 against the Redskins. They still have some talent on this roster, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I like their new head coach in Steve Wilkes. I think he'll end up being a fine hire when it's all said and done, but this is just a team in a bit of a rebuild. 27 is the New York Jets. Team that is actually starting a rookie quarterback. They make the right decision by going with Sam Darnold and trading away Teddy Bridgewater. No matter how the season plays out for them, I think that was the right move. And they're a team that I think is not very good. So I wouldn't be shocked if Darnold struggled due to a lack of talent around him rather than him himself, because I really think Darnold's going to be a good quarterback eventually. 26 is the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, the Cleveland Browns are not in the bottom 6, which is a complete shock. They have some talent on this team. They have good receivers. They have some rising stars on defense. They have some blue chippers on both sides of the ball. But they're still the Browns, and Hugh Jackson is certainly a candidate to be the first coach fired this year. 25 is the Washington Redskins. They probably have more talent than given credit for, but they're just overshadowed because they're in the same division as the reigning Super Bowl champions along with the Giants and the Cowboys. So they're being overlooked, I think, a little bit. I think there's a chance that they can surprise some folks. Alex Smith's a solid quarterback. The loss of Darius Grice is big. Adrian Peterson is an okay replacement, even though he's past his prime. 24 is the Oakland Raiders. That team's just a mess. They traded away Khalil Mack, which makes them one of the 10 worst teams in the league. John Gruden, I think, is just out of his mind, and the game might have just passed him by, but I could be completely wrong, and we'll see with the Raiders. 23 is the Denver Broncos. They're a team that has some blue chippers on defense. They cut Paxton Lynch. So John Elway, 2 years later, realizes that he made a mistake in trading up for Paxton Lynch. Chad Kelly's now their backup quarterback. He's shown some promise in the preseason. But my question for the Broncos is whether Case Keenum will repeat last year or not. I am leaning towards no. 22 is the New York Football Giants. I think they had a really good offseason, capped off by signing Odell Beckham Jr. to that monster contract extension. I think that was their number one priority this offseason, other than improving that offensive line. They did both of those things. I think Saquon Barkley's going to be special. But I just have questions with the Giants on the defensive side of the football. They trade away Jason Pierre-Paul, so I expect their pass rush to take a little bit of a step back, even though their pass rush wasn't really any good last year. But I mean a step back like on paper. And Olivier Vernon, who knows if he's healthy or not. So the Giants are an interesting team, but I really think that their defenses could be what sets them back rather than an aging Eli Manning. 21 is the Detroit Lions. You could argue they should be higher than this, or you could argue they should be lower than this. They have a new head coach in Matt Patricia. Matt Stafford's still around. I don't love Stafford's supporting cast, though. Rookie running back Kerryon Johnson could be a sleeper for some folks in fantasy and just in general. 20 is the San Francisco 49ers. Same with the Lions. You could argue this is too high or too low. And even with the Giants, you could argue too high, too low for their ranking on here. But the 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo gathers all the attention. I don't mind Kyle Shanahan as a coach. I think the Niners are a franchise heading in the right direction, but it may take a couple years before they're actually a contender. And they need a better supporting cast around Garoppolo, in my opinion, in order for them to contend. This might be too high because they just made a monster trade for one of the best players in football, in Khalil Mack, and that's obviously the Chicago Bears. A lot of people are high on them now after that trade. And even before the trade, there were some folks thinking that they could be a sleeper. They have a new head coach in Matt Nagy. They have a young quarterback in Mitch Trubisky that folks think will have a breakout season this year. And a young defense that looks to make themselves better with the addition of Khalil Mack. I think their defense will be better. But to me, the big question with this team is whether Trubisky makes that year 2 jump or not. 18 is the Baltimore Ravens. I think folks are too high on this team. I really don't see this team as a double-digit win football team. I don't love their offense at all. They don't even have above-average running backs or wide receivers. They just waived Brashard Perryman, who was a bust draft pick receiver. I like the rookie tight end Hayden Hurst, but he's injured. We'll see how Joe Flacco does this year. There's some pressure on him, and obviously Harbaugh too, because the Ravens haven't been good in a couple years, and Lamar Jackson's waiting in the wings. They drafted him, so they're, I think, looking to the future a little bit, and we'll just see, because I think that there's a chance they finish in 3rd place in this division. But if things go right, they'll maybe finish in 2nd. 17 is the Dallas Cowboys. They're a team that I think is just poised for mediocrity this season. They feel like a 7-9, 8-8 type of team. Dak Prescott is entering his 3rd season. Are we going to get the Prescott that was the Rookie of the Year in 2016? Or are we going to get the Dak Prescott who took a step back last year? My guess is it's going to be somewhere in the middle. He does not have a good receiving core. Jason Witten's gone. Ezekiel Elliott's the key to this team, in my opinion, that holds them together. And I think he's worth a couple more wins than people are willing to give him, because I think Elliott's that great of a running back. 16 is the Seattle Seahawks. I know folks are saying, huh? But yeah, it's over for them in terms of being a Super Bowl contender. Their window's closed. The Rams have overtaken them in the division. The Niners will shortly follow them. They still have Russell Wilson, and he alone is the reason why they're 16. If they had anybody else at quarterback, they're a bottom 5 team, in my opinion. Their defense isn't the same. Bobby Wagner's the only guy that's really left from those Super Bowl teams. Byron Maxwell is on the IR. Earl Thomas is on the IR. This team is just a mess, and they could be poised for a very disappointing season. 15 is the Cincinnati Bengals. They're a team that folks think can exceed expectations this year, as do I. Andy Dalton is still around. I think he's better than folks make him out to be, because everybody just points at the prime time and playoff record and Marvin Lewis. But this guy isn't bad. He's actually won some big games before in his career, but not in a couple years. But this team has had some injuries over the last few years, including an injury to Dalton, which I think set them back a few years ago, and they made the playoffs. And if he was healthy, maybe they would have gone on a run. I think that was in 2015. It was the season that the Broncos won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning in his final season. And the Bengals do have some talent on this roster. They have a good set of running backs, a good set of receivers, a good set of tight ends. An offensive line that I think is going to be better. They have a solid pass rush. And a good secondary, too. So don't sleep on the Cincinnati Bengals. 14 is the Green Bay Packers. People are going to think this is too low for them, but I just don't see them as a Super Bowl contender. And it's nothing against Aaron Rodgers, who I think is the second best quarterback in football behind Tom Brady. And with Rodgers is healthy, they have to be taken seriously. And my thing for them is their defense. And if their defense is better, then I could take them seriously as a Super Bowl contender. But I mean, when Rodgers is healthy, take them seriously just as an opponent, and they just can't be ignored. But their offense is going to be good. My question is their defense. 13 is the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that made the AFC title game a year ago, but I have my doubts, obviously, about Blake Bortles and whether he's really a franchise quarterback or was last year a flash in the pan. Their defense is awesome. Calais Campbell's a great pass rusher. Jalen Ramsey's a great cornerback. So they have talent all around the roster. I don't love Bortles' supporting cast outside of Leonard Fournette. The addition of Austin Seferian-Jenkins at tight end I think will actually be a good one. But I just don't like their receivers, and the loss of Allen Robinson I think will prove to be big. And that's another reason why I have the Bears pretty high, by the way. Number 12 is the Tennessee Titans. They're a team that I think can make the playoffs again for the second straight year. Marcus Mariota, I think, has to have a good year. He had not a terrible season last year, but what folks consider to be a down year for him. I expect him to be better under new head coach Mike Vrabel. And he has a very good supporting cast. Derrick Henry, Delaney Walker, Rashad Matthews, Corey Davis. So there's some good guys around Mariota, a great offensive line. Underrated pass rush on the other side of the ball, Jarrell Casey. So keep an eye on the Titans. Number 11 is the Kansas City Chiefs. They're another team I think can make the playoffs this season. Patrick Mahomes replaces Alex Smith. And I'm very high on Mahomes. And they are a team that I think is being overlooked by folks because of the next team I'm going to mention, and that is the Los Angeles Chargers. They're the team I have at number 10. Phillip Rivers is still around. He has a very good supporting cast around him. They'll miss Hunter Henry, although they brought back veteran tight end Antonio Gates. I'm not a huge fan of the Chargers' offensive line, but Russell Okung is a very good tackle that will keep Phillip Rivers upright. Defensive side of the ball has improved tremendously with all the talent they brought in over the last couple years, whether that's draft or free agency. Joey Bosa is one of the best pass rushers in the game. Secondary should be good despite the loss of Jason Verrett to a torn ACL. 9 is the Pittsburgh Steelers, another perennial contender on the list. They received some good news just now that Le'Veon Bell's expected to sign a tender today and return to the team. Now the question is whether he'll play week 1 or not. But my worry for this team is whether their defense will be good or not. Ryan Shazier is obviously a huge loss. But there's some young guys on that side of the ball that I think can have an impact. Number 8 is the Atlanta Falcons. They're a team that was perceived to have a quote-unquote down year last year. And I expect them to be better. And their offense is going to be good. I don't love Steve Sarkisian, their offensive coordinator, but on paper I expect them to be better on that side of the ball because of the addition of Calvin Ridley. And I think Devontae Freeman will have a good year. Julio Jones, I think, will be motivated. And obviously Matt Ryan at quarterback will be good. Defense is going to be solid for them. Vic Beasley, I think, is one of the up-and-coming pass rushers in the game. I like their secondary, too. Desmond Trufant and Keanu Neal. 7 is the New Orleans Saints. They're Super Bowl contenders we head into the season. Drew Brees leading that offense. Alvin Kamara. Mark Ingram suspended the first 4 games of the season due to the drug policy. Good receiving core. Defensive side of the ball is right there where they made their monster improvement a year ago. Cam Jordan leads the pass rush. Marshawn Lattimore leads the secondary. 6 is the Carolina Panthers. They're a team that I expect to be awesome this season. Cam Newton, I think it's overlooked by folks in the media because people just don't like him and his personality. But he's very, very talented. I think a breakout year is coming for Christian McCaffrey. I think that Devin Funchess will have a good year at receiver. Greg Olsen, I think, is a solid tight end. Defensive side of the ball is where they're usually at their best. Their pass rush is great. Luke Kuechly is just a monster. I'm not a huge fan of their secondary, although I think James Bradbury will have a solid year. He's a third-year pro in the league already. 5 is the Houston Texans. Yes, that's very high for a team that went 4-12 a year ago, but they went 4-12 because their franchise quarterback got hurt and 2 of their best defensive players got hurt. They're all back now, and I expect them to be a contender this year. Watson's special. Jadeveon Clowney had a breakout year last year, and he'll be reunited with J.J. Watt and Whitley Merciless on the pass rush. So that alone will win them football games, along with the playmaking ability of Watson. 4 is the New England Patriots, the reigning AFC champions. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. The gang's back together pretty much. Although they suffered some big losses in free agency, they're still the Patriots. They're still going to win their division. 3, the Minnesota Vikings, the team that has one of the better rosters in the league. They upgraded a quarterback from Case Keenum to Kirk Cousins. They get Dalvin Cook back off a torn ACL. They have a good receiving core and underrated tight end. Their defense is absolutely special. Good pass rush, good secondary. They're poised for a good year. 2, the Los Angeles Rams. They're also poised for a big season. Will Jared Goff build on his breakout year? I'm going to say yes. They have a core that is pretty good, that all pretty much had breakout years last year. Todd Gurley's special. Their defense is great. Aaron Donald signed the big contract extension. Number 1 is the Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning champions. They have a great roster too. And they're only number 1 because they just won the Super Bowl. And their roster has depth everywhere. So they deserve that number 1 spot. Nick Foles will be starting tomorrow night instead of Carson Wentz. They have humongous depth at running back. They have some good receivers. They have a great tight end in Zach Ertz. Their defense is great. So the Eagles are my number 1 team in the power rankings. Now I'm going to do my NHL local TV announcer rankings. 40 guys made the list because there's some backups on there and guys that usually fill in pretty often. I'm going to go from 40 to 1. And as I've always said, and as I've been doing these rankings, I don't mean to insult anybody. This is just my opinion. All these guys are pretty good at what they do. 40 is Mark Moser of the Avalanche. He's new. 39 is Brian Munz, Winnipeg Jets. He's a backup. 38, Dan Dunleavy, Sabres. He's a backup. 37, JP Delacamera, Carolina Hurricanes. He's a backup. 36, Jakes McDonald, New York Islanders. He's a backup. 35, John Gino, New York Rangers. He's a backup as well. 34, Josh Bogart of the Dallas Stars. I mentioned this on the radio because he does the simulcast for both TV and radio. He really has big shoes to fill. Dave Strader was one of the best in the business. Rest in peace. 33, Michael Lagerix, the French announcer for the Ottawa Senators. 32, Matt McConnell, Arizona Coyotes. 31, Jeff Reimer, Columbus Blue Jackets. 30, Steve Goldstein, Carolina Panthers. 29, Anthony LaPonta, the Minnesota Wild. 28, Pierre Hode of the Montreal Canadiens. He is their French guy. 27, Brian Mudryk of the Ottawa Senators. 26, John Shorthouse of the Vancouver Canucks. 25, Kevin Quinn of the Edmonton Oilers. 24, Rick Ball of the Calgary Flames. 23, John Barlett of the Toronto Maple Leafs. 22, Dennis Bayak of the Winnipeg Jets. 21, Willie Donick of the Nashville Predators. 20, Dave Gouget of the Vegas Golden Knights. 19, Steve Mears, Pittsburgh Penguins. 18, Brendan Burke, New York Islanders. 17, Alex Foss, Los Angeles Kings. 16, John Allers, Anaheim Ducks. 15, Steve Cangelosi, New Jersey Devils. 14, Joe Beninati, Washington Capitals. 13, Rick Jenner, Buffalo Sabres. He does the simulcast on the radio. 12, Ken Daniels, Detroit Red Wings. 11, Jim Jackson, Philadelphia Flyers. 10, John Kelly, St. Louis Blues. 9, Randy Hahn, San Jose Sharks. 8, Chris Cuthbert. He does the Ottawa Senators and the Toronto Maple Leafs for TSN. 7, Rick Peckham, Tampa Bay Lightning. 6, John Forslund, Carolina Hurricanes. 5, Kenny Albert, New York Rangers, and he comes with an asterisk because he sometimes fills in for Sam Rosen on TV, but it's not often. But he just is this high because he's a big name in the business and he does a great job at what he does. Although he's the radio announcer for the Rangers and just subs on TV every once in a while. 4 is Jack Edwards of the Boston Bruins. 3, Sam Rosen, New York Rangers. 2, Gordon Miller does the Ottawa Senators and Toronto Maple Leafs for TSN, as well as Cuthbert. And number 1, Pat Foley, Chicago Blackhawks. Foley's been there forever, it seems like. He's called so many big moments in his career in the regular season and in the postseason as well. Before I go, some breaking news. Rick Pitino has called it a career. He announced his retirement. He says he's finished coaching nearly a half year after his dismissal. And another note that I want to pass along is that the Cowboys offered the Seahawks a second-round pick for Earl Thomas, and Seattle turned it down. That would have been a nice addition for Dallas. That probably would up my projections for them this season, but the deal didn't happen. That's it for today's podcast. I'll be back later today doing my NFL season predictions. And I'll be back tomorrow recapping all the baseball games, looking ahead to tomorrow's games. I'll be doing my pick for the Thursday night showdown between the Falcons and the Eagles, and anything else that goes on in the world of sports. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.